sat frozen on the worn sofa in their tiny apartment, her hands trembling as she read the words over and over. Can you imagine her face when she shows up? Poor little Naomi in her thrift store clothes, standing in your penthouse? I'm dying to see it. The response from her husband Pierce made her stomach turn. It'll be hilarious. She has no idea I own half the buildings in this city. She thinks we're broke. This party will be the best joke ever. Naomi's breath came in short gasps. She had found Pierce's other phone, his real phone, tucked inside his gym bag. The phone he thought she didn't know about. For 5 years of marriage, she had believed they were struggling. She had eaten rice and beans for dinner while he claimed they couldn't afford anything better. She had worn the same 3 dresses to every occasion because he said money was tight. She had given up her dreams of finishing college because he said they needed to save every penny. All lies. The phone contained thousands of messages between Pierce and a woman named Simone. Photos of Pierce at expensive restaurants. Screenshots of bank accounts with balances that made Naomi's head spin. Property deeds. Investment portfolios. A whole secret life built on money he had inherited from his grandfather 3 years ago. Money he never told her about. And now an invitation. To Simone's party. With Naomi's name on the guest list. She scrolled through more messages, her shock turning to something cold and sharp. They had planned this for weeks. Simone would throw an elegant party at the penthouse Pierce had bought her. They would invite all their wealthy friends. And they would invite Naomi too, telling her it was a casual get-together, so she would show up in her regular clothes, completely unprepared. She'll be so out of place, Simone had written. Everyone will be in designer clothes and she'll walk in wearing whatever sad outfit she can pull together. I want to see her realize how pathetic her life is. She deserves it, Pierce had replied. Always nagging me about money. Always wanting things. She should be grateful I even married her. Naomi set the phone down carefully on the coffee table. She looked around the cramped apartment, the place Pierce insisted they had to rent because it was all they could afford. The apartment with the broken heater she had learned to fix herself. The apartment with the leaking ceiling that Pierce said they didn't have money to repair. She walked to the bedroom and opened the closet. Her clothes hung there, a sad collection of items from discount stores and charity shops. 3 dresses, 5 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans. She had learned to make do with so little while her husband spent thousands on another woman. In the back of the closet, pushed behind Pierce's empty hangers, he kept most of his good clothes somewhere else. She realized now she found a box. Inside was her old portfolio from college. Before she met Pierce, she had been studying business. She had dreams of starting her own consulting firm. She had been good at it too, getting top grades and praise from professors. Then she met Pierce at a coffee shop. He had been charming, attentive, loving. He said he worked in real estate but times were tough. She had believed him. When his grandfather died and left him nothing, or so he claimed, she had supported him. When he said they needed to save money, she had given up school. When he said they couldn't afford her small dreams, she had put them away. All lies. All manipulation. All designed to keep her small and dependent while he lived like a king in secret. Naomi's phone buzzed. A text from Pierce. Hey babe, a colleague invited us to a party Friday night at 8 p.m. Pretty casual thing. Wear whatever you want. Address is 1550 Riverside Drive, Penthouse 3. She stared at the message. This was it. This was the invitation to her public humiliation. He had no idea she had found his other phone. He thought she would walk into that party completely blind, ready to be the evening's entertainment. Naomi typed back, sounds fun. I'll be there. She set down the phone and went back to Pierce's gym bag. She pulled out the expensive phone and began taking photos. Messages. Bank statements. Photos of him with Simone. Property documents. Everything. She sent them all to her own email, then carefully put the phone back exactly where she had found it. Her mind was racing now, but not with panic. Not with tears. Something else was building inside her, something fierce and determined. They wanted to make her the joke of the evening. They wanted to watch her crumble in front of wealthy strangers. They wanted her to finally see how small she was in Pierce's world. But Naomi had news for them. She wasn't going to crumble. She wasn't going to cry. And she definitely wasn't going to show up as the poor, pathetic wife they expected. She pulled out her laptop and started making calls. First, to her old friend Jordan, who had graduated law school and now worked at a top firm. Then to her cousin Tasha, who styled celebrities. Then to her bank to check her own savings account money from her old part-time job that Pierce didn't know about. Friday was 4 days away. 4 days to prepare. 4 days to turn their cruel joke into something else entirely. Naomi smiled for the first time in hours. They wanted to humiliate her? They wanted to show her how pathetic her life was? She would show them something better. She would show them exactly what a mistake they had made. The party invitation sat on the table, but it didn't look like a threat anymore. It looked like an opportunity. Naomi spent Tuesday digging through everything. While Pierce was at work, she now knew he was probably at one of his secret properties. She systematically searched every corner of their apartment. She found more evidence hidden in places she had never thought to look. Behind the bathroom sink, inside a sealed plastic bag, were credit card statements. Charges for jewelry, expensive dinners, luxury hotels. None of it purchased for her. She photographed every page with steady hands. In a box labeled old tax documents, on the top shelf of the hall closet, she found property deeds. 3 investment properties in the downtown area. A vacation home in the mountains. The penthouse where Simone lived. All purchased in the last 3 years. All in Pierce's name only. The numbers made her dizzy. Her husband was worth over $8 million. $8 million. While she had been shopping at discount grocery stores and cutting coupons, he had been building an empire. She found receipts for a Mercedes stored in some parking garage across town. Receipts for custom suits. Receipts for a country club membership. A whole life she had never seen. But the worst discovery came when she found his real laptop, hidden inside a guitar case in the storage unit downstairs. She had only checked the storage unit because she found the key in his sock drawer and wondered what he was storing. The laptop revealed everything. Emails to Simone planning trips to Paris and Hawaii. Photos of them together at exclusive events. Calendar entries for their dates. And messages to his friends, laughing about his arrangement. One email made her hands shake with anger. The best part is Naomi never questions anything. I tell her we're broke and she just accepts it. I could probably tell her the sky is green and she'd believe me. Having a clueless wife at home makes the whole setup perfect. She keeps house, asks for nothing, and I get to live my real life without any hassle. His friend had replied, "You're a genius, man. Most guys have to actually support their wives. You found a way to have your cake and eat it too." Naomi saved everything to a USB drive. Every document. Every photo. Every message. She organized it into folders by date and type. Bank records. Property records. Messages. Photos. It took her 6 hours, but when she finished, she had a complete picture of Pierce's deception. She also found something else interesting. Pierce had been lying to Simone too. The messages revealed that he had told Simone he was divorced. He had shown her fake divorce papers. He had told her that Naomi was just a crazy ex who kept bothering him. Simone didn't know Pierce was actually still married. She thought she was his legitimate girlfriend. The party invitation was her way of helping him get closure by showing his ex-wife how much better his life was now. Both women had been played. But Naomi suspected that if Simone knew the truth, she would drop Pierce immediately. The messages showed Simone had strong opinions about men who cheat and liars. She had no idea she was the other woman. Naomi filed this information away. It might be useful later. By Wednesday morning, she had met with Jordan at a coffee shop downtown. Her old friend looked sharp in a tailored suit, carrying a leather briefcase. They had been close in college but lost touch when Naomi dropped out. Jordan had tried to stay in contact, but Pierce had always made excuses about why Naomi was too busy. Now, sitting across from each other with lattes between them, Jordan's face went from shock to fury as Naomi explained everything. "That bastard," Jordan said, keeping her voice low. "I knew something was off about him, but this is fraud. This is financial abuse. Can I get anything in a divorce?" Naomi asked. "We've been married 5 years. He hid all this from me." Jordan nodded, pulling out a legal pad. "With this evidence, you can get a lot. In this state, any assets acquired during marriage are marital property, even if only one name is on the deed. The fact that he actively hid his inheritance and income from you makes it even worse. A judge will not be happy about this." "I want to file on Friday night," Naomi said. During the party, Jordan's eyebrows shot up. "That's dramatic. Why then?" "Because he invited me to humiliate me. He wants me to see his luxury life and feel small. I want to flip the script. I want him to realize in front of all his wealthy friends that his secret is out and his money is about to be frozen." A slow smile spread across Jordan's face. "I like the way you think. We can absolutely make that happen. I'll prepare an emergency motion to freeze all assets pending divorce proceedings. We can have it filed electronically and served in person. The look on his face will be priceless. They spent 2 hours going through details. Jordan explained what Naomi could expect: the legal process, the likely timeline, the possible outcomes. With the evidence Naomi had collected, Jordan was confident they could secure a favorable settlement. He's going to fight this, Jordan warned. Men like him always do. He'll hire expensive lawyers. He'll try to hide more money. He'll claim things belong to his business, not to the marriage. But we have proof he deliberately deceived you. That helps our case significantly. I'm ready, Naomi said. I've been living like I'm broke for years. I can handle a court battle. Jordan squeezed her hand. You're stronger than you know. And you're not alone in this. I've got your back. Wednesday afternoon, Naomi did something she hadn't done in years. She called her mother. The relationship had been strained. Pierce had slowly isolated her from her family, always having excuses why they couldn't visit. Eventually, the calls had stopped. The visits ended. Naomi had told herself it was just life getting busy. Now she knew it was another form of control. Keeping her isolated kept her dependent. Her mother answered on the third ring. Naomi? Baby, is that you? Hi, Mom, Naomi said, her voice cracking slightly. Are you okay? It's been so long. I've been worried. I'm okay. Actually, I'm better than okay. I need to tell you something about Pierce. She explained everything. Her mother listened in silence until Naomi finished, then said quietly, I never liked him. I never said anything because you seemed happy, but I never trusted that man. Something about him always felt off. You were right, Naomi said. About everything. What are you going to do? I'm going to take him for everything he's worth, Naomi said. And then I'm going to rebuild my life the way I should have years ago. Her mother was quiet for a moment, then laughed, a sharp, proud sound. That's my daughter. You go make him regret ever crossing you. They talked for another hour, catching up on lost time. Her mother told her about family events she had missed. Her younger brother's engagement. Her cousin's new baby. A whole life that had continued without her while she had been trapped in Pierce's web of lies. Come visit after this is over, her mother said. Come home for a while. Let us take care of you. I will, Naomi promised. As soon as this is done. Thursday, Naomi focused on the practical details. She opened a new bank account at a different bank, transferring her savings there. She gathered her important documents, birth certificate, social security card, passport. She packed a bag with essentials and took it to her cousin Tasha's house for safekeeping. Tasha lived in a stylish loft downtown, her walls covered with photos of celebrities she had styled. When Naomi explained what was happening, Tasha's reaction was immediate. Oh, we're going to make you look absolutely stunning, Tasha said. We're going to make him choke on his champagne when he sees you. I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard, Naomi said. I want to look like I belong there. Like I'm confident and successful. Tasha nodded, already pulling clothes from her closet. Understated elegance. Powerful but not flashy. I know exactly what you need. They spent hours trying different options. Finally, they settled on a midnight blue dress with clean lines and a perfect fit. Simple but expensive looking. Elegant heels. Minimal jewelry. Hairstyled sleek and professional. Makeup that enhanced without overwhelming. You look like a CEO, Tasha said, stepping back to admire her work during the trial run. You look like money without showing off. Perfect. Naomi looked at herself in the mirror. The woman staring back looked strong. Confident. Nothing like the worn-down person she had become over 5 years of manipulation. Thank you, she said quietly. Thank me by taking that man for everything he's got, Tasha replied. Now tomorrow evening come here at 6. We'll get you ready and I'll drive you to the party myself. You're going to walk in there like you own the place. Friday morning, Naomi woke up calm. Pierce was already gone, probably preparing for his big evening of entertainment at her expense. She made herself breakfast, did yoga, and took her time getting ready for the day. At noon, Jordan called. Everything is filed and ready. The process server will be at the party at 8:30. Are you sure about this timing? Completely sure, Naomi said. Okay, then let's do this. One more thing, I'm coming to the party too. What? How? Jordan laughed. I called the building and said I was Simone's event planner confirming details. Got myself added to the guest list as her coordinator. I'll be there in the background making sure everything goes smoothly. And if Pierce tries anything, I'll have witnesses. You're amazing, Naomi said. No, you're amazing. I'm just helping you shine. See you tonight. The rest of the day crawled by. Naomi cleaned the apartment one last time, collecting her remaining personal items. She wasn't coming back here. Whatever happened tonight, this chapter of her life was over. At 5:30, she locked the apartment door behind her and headed to Tasha's loft. The party started at 8. In 2.5 hours, everything would change. She was ready. The transformation took place in Tasha's loft as evening light filtered through the tall windows. Naomi sat in the styling chair while her cousin worked with the precision of someone who had dressed celebrities for red carpets and magazine covers. "Your hair is gorgeous," Tasha said, running her fingers through Naomi's natural curls. "Has Pierce ever even told you that?" "Not really," Naomi admitted. "He usually suggested I straighten it." "Of course he did. Controlling men always do that. They make you doubt the things that make you beautiful." Tasha picked up her styling tools. "Tonight, we're embracing everything. Your curls, your confidence, everything he tried to diminish." The process was methodical. Tasha shaped Naomi's hair into an elegant updo that showcased her bone structure. The makeup was flawless but natural, glowing skin, defined eyes, a perfect lip. When Tasha brought out the midnight blue dress, Naomi slipped into it and felt something shift inside her. "Look at yourself," Tasha said, turning her toward the full-length mirror. The woman in the reflection looked powerful. The dress fit like it was custom-made, hugging her curves in all the right places. The color brought out the richness of her skin tone. The heels added height and confidence. Simple diamond earrings borrowed from Tasha's collection caught the light. "I look," Naomi started. "Expensive," Tasha finished. "You look like old money. Like someone who doesn't need to prove anything because they already have everything. That's exactly the energy we want." Naomi's phone buzzed. A message from Pierce. "Running late. See you at the party around 8:15. Don't stress about what to wear, nobody will be paying attention to you anyway." She showed Tasha, who snorted. "Oh, people are going to pay attention. Just not the way he thinks." At 7:30, Jordan arrived at the loft. She was dressed professionally but elegantly in a black pantsuit, carrying a leather bag that Naomi knew contained legal documents. "Holy hell," Jordan said when she saw Naomi. "You look incredible." "Thanks to Tasha," Naomi said. "Thanks to yourself," Tasha corrected. "I just enhanced what was already there. The real transformation is happening inside you." Jordan sat down and reviewed the plan one more time. "I'll arrive first, around 7:45, playing the role of event coordinator. I'll scope out the venue, identify witnesses, and make sure everything is in position. The process server, Ben, will arrive at 8:30 sharp. He'll be dressed as a guest, so he won't draw immediate attention." "What should I do when he serves the papers?" Naomi asked. "Nothing dramatic," Jordan said. "Let Pierce react. Let him make a scene if he wants. You stay calm and composed. That's what will really get under his skin, seeing that you're not falling apart." "What about Simone?" Naomi asked. "She doesn't know Pierce is still married." Jordan nodded. "That's going to be an interesting moment. When she realizes she's the other woman, she's probably going to be furious. Let her be. Let them turn on each other. Your job is just to stand there looking unbothered." "I can do that," Naomi said. Tasha checked her watch. "It's 7:40. We should head out. Traffic downtown can be tricky." They rode together in Tasha's sleek car, jazz music playing softly. Naomi watched the city lights pass by, feeling strangely calm. This should have been terrifying, confronting her husband in front of strangers, ending her marriage publicly, stepping into a world she didn't belong to. But instead she felt clear, focused, ready. "You know what's funny?" she said suddenly. "I'm not even nervous." "That's because you know you're right," Jordan said from the front seat. "When you're standing in truth, there's nothing to be nervous about." They dropped Jordan off a block from the building so she could arrive separately. Then Tasha drove to the front entrance where a valet was stationed. "Are you ready?" Tasha asked. Naomi took a deep breath. "Yes. Remember, you belong there. You have every right to be in that room. And you look absolutely stunning." "Thank you," Naomi said. "For everything." "Go get him," Tasha said with a fierce smile. Naomi stepped out of the car. The evening air was cool against her skin. The building rose above her, all glass and steel and luxury. The kind of place Pierce had been visiting while she ate ramen noodles for dinner. The doorman held the elevator for her. "Penthouse 3?" he asked, seeing her dressed for the party. "Yes," she said confidently. As the elevator climbed, Naomi watched the floors tick by. 8th floor, 10th floor, 15th floor. Each number brought her closer to the moment everything would change. She thought about the past 5 years, the sacrifices she had made, the dreams she had deferred, the small, careful life she had lived while Pierce had been living large, all based on lies. But she also thought about what came next, the life she was about to reclaim, the education she would finish, the business she would build, the future she would create on her own terms. The elevator doors opened on the 20th floor. Naomi stepped out into a marble hallway that screamed wealth. Soft music drifted from the open penthouse door at the end of the corridor. She walked toward it, her heels clicking confidently on the marble. As she reached the doorway, she paused for just a moment. Through the entrance, she could see the party already in progress. Beautifully dressed people holding champagne glasses. Modern art on the walls. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing the glittering city below. And there, near the windows, stood Pierce. He wore an expensive suit she had never seen before. He was laughing at something, champagne in hand, looking completely at ease in his secret world. Next to him stood a woman who had to be Simone, tall, striking, wearing a white dress that probably cost more than Naomi's old monthly rent. She looked confident, glamorous, completely unaware that her boyfriend was actually someone else's husband. Naomi spotted Jordan near the back of the room, pretending to check details on a clipboard. Their eyes met briefly, and Jordan gave the smallest nod of encouragement. This was it. Naomi stepped into the penthouse. For a moment, nothing happened. The party continued around her. Then someone near the door noticed her, a woman in a red dress whose eyes widened in surprise. She nudged the man next to her, who turned to look. The reaction rippled through the room like a wave. One by one, people stopped talking and turned to stare at the striking woman who had just walked in. Pierce was still laughing at something when the man next to him touched his arm and pointed toward the door. Pierce turned, still smiling, and then his face went completely white. His champagne glass slipped from his fingers, shattering on the marble floor. The entire party went silent. Simone followed Pierce's stare, her confident smile fading into confusion. Pierce? Who is that? But Pierce couldn't speak. He just stood there, frozen, staring at his wife like she was a ghost. Naomi walked further into the room, moving with calm confidence. She didn't hurry. She didn't hesitate. She simply walked through the crowd of wealthy strangers, all of whom were now watching her with fascination. She could hear whispers starting. Who is that? She's beautiful. I thought Pierce said his ex-wife was dowdy. That's his ex. Naomi reached Pierce and Simone. Up close, she could see the panic in Pierce's eyes, the confusion in Simone's face. The attention of every single person at the party focused on this moment. Hello, Pierce, Naomi said calmly. Thank you for inviting me to the party. Her voice carried in the silence. Clear, steady, completely unbothered. Pierce's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Simone looked between them. Pierce? What's going on? Who is this? Naomi turned to her with a polite smile. I'm Naomi, Pierce's wife. The word wife hit the room like a bomb. Simone took a step back. Wife. But Pierce told me he was divorced. He showed me papers. Fake papers, Naomi said simply. We're still very much married. In fact, we live together. Or we did until tonight. The whispers grew louder. People were pulling out phones. This was going to be the gossip story of the week in their social circle. Pierce finally found his voice. Naomi, what are you doing here? This isn't appropriate. Isn't appropriate? Naomi laughed, a genuine sound without bitterness. You invited me. You sent me this address. You wanted me to come. I didn't think you'd actually show up, Pierce stammered. No, Naomi agreed. You thought I'd show up looking poor and pathetic so you and your friends could laugh at me. You thought I'd be your entertainment for the evening. More phones came out. A few people gasped. Simone was staring at Pierce with horror. Is that true? You're still married? You planned this to humiliate her? Pierce tried to recover. It's not what it sounds like. It's exactly what it sounds like, Naomi said. She pulled out her own phone and held up the screen, showing the text messages between Pierce and Simone planning this exact scenario. I found your other phone. I've seen all the messages. Simone looked at the screen, then at Pierce, her face transforming from confusion to fury. You bastard. You absolute bastard. There's more, Naomi continued, her voice still calm. Pierce inherited $8 million 3 years ago. While I was living in a tiny apartment thinking we were broke, he was buying properties, traveling, and spending money on you. All without telling me. His legal wife. The room erupted in whispers. Someone near the back said, That's messed up, man. Another voice added, "Who does that to their wife?" Pierce's face was red now. "Naomi, we can discuss this privately." "Why?" Naomi asked. "You wanted me here. You wanted me to see your real life. Well, here I am. I'm seeing everything." Jordan appeared at Naomi's side, no longer pretending to be an event coordinator. "Hello, Pierce. I'm Jordan Hamilton, Mrs. Pierce's attorney. I wanted to personally deliver some news." "Attorney?" Pierce looked like he might be sick. "Yes. As of 1 hour ago, we filed for divorce on grounds of fraud and financial abuse. We've also filed an emergency motion to freeze all your accounts pending the proceedings. Every property, every investment, every penny frozen until the court determines how to divide marital assets." The blood drained from Pierce's face. "You can't do that." "We already did," Jordan said cheerfully. "You should receive official notice any minute now." As if on cue, a man in a dark suit approached from the elevator. "Pierce Hammond?" Pierce turned to him. "Who are you?" "Process server. You've been served." He handed Pierce a thick envelope of legal papers. The room was completely silent now except for the rustling of papers as Pierce opened the envelope with shaking hands. His eyes scanned the documents, growing wider with each page. Simone was backing away from him. "I can't believe this. I can't believe any of this. You told me you were divorced. You told me she was crazy and obsessive." "I told you what?" Naomi said, turning to her with interest. "He said you were his ex-wife who kept stalking him. He said the divorce was finalized 2 years ago." Several people in the crowd gasped. This was better than reality TV. Naomi shook her head. "I've never stalked anyone. Until 4 days ago, I thought we had a happy marriage. A broke marriage, but a happy one. I had no idea he had money. No idea about you. No idea about any of this." Simone looked at Naomi, really looked at her, and something seemed to shift in her expression. "He really had you living like you were poor?" "I was cutting coupons to save $3 on groceries," Naomi said. "I wore the same 3 dresses for 5 years. I gave up college because he said we couldn't afford it. Meanwhile, he bought you a penthouse." Simone's hand went to her mouth. For a moment, Naomi thought she might actually feel sorry for her. But then Simone turned to Pierce, her voice ice cold. "Get out of my home." "Simone, wait." "Get out," she screamed. "You lying, manipulative, disgusting person. Get out now." Pierce looked around the room at all the staring faces, at the phones recording this disaster, at his wife who had just destroyed his carefully constructed double life. "This isn't over," he said to Naomi. "You're right," Naomi agreed. "It's not over. I'm going to make sure every penny you hid from me is accounted for. I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. And I'm going to make sure you never do this to anyone else." "You'll never win in court," Pierce said desperately. "I have the best lawyers. I have resources. And I have the truth," Naomi said. "Plus, thanks to your messages, I have evidence of every lie you've told, every penny you've hidden, every property you've bought. It's all documented, all saved, all ready for court." Jordan stepped forward. "Mr. Hammond, I suggest you retain your own legal counsel immediately. This is going to be a complex case." Pierce looked at the envelope in his hands, at the divorce papers and frozen asset notices. He looked at Simone, who was glaring at him with pure hatred. He looked at the room full of his wealthy friends, all of whom were now seeing him in a completely different light. Then he looked at Naomi, standing tall, confident, absolutely unshaken, and she saw the moment he realized he had lost. Not just the marriage, not just the money, but the control, the power, the ability to keep her small and invisible. Without another word, Pierce pushed through the crowd and left the penthouse. The elevator doors closed behind him and he was gone. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Simone spoke. "I'm so sorry," she said to Naomi. "I had no idea. I would never have, if I had known he was married." "I believe you," Naomi said. "He lied to both of us. He's the problem, not you." Simone nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I need everyone to leave. Party's over." The guests began filing out, still whispering among themselves. But several people stopped to speak to Naomi on their way out. "That took courage," one older woman said. "Good for you." A man in an expensive suit handed her his business card. "I own a financial consulting firm. If you ever need help managing your settlement, call me." What your husband did was inexcusable. One by one, the people who were supposed to watch her humiliation instead offered support, contacts, respect. When the penthouse was finally empty except for Naomi, Jordan, and Simone, Simone collapsed onto her white sofa. I can't believe this, she said. I can't believe he played me like that. He's done it before, Jordan said. Men like Pierce always have a pattern. Simone looked at Naomi. Are you really going to take him for everything? Every penny I'm entitled to, Naomi said. And then I'm going to rebuild my life. Good, Simone said. Take it all. He deserves it. Naomi turned to leave, Jordan following. But at the door, she paused and looked back at Simone. For what it's worth, you didn't know. That makes a difference. Not enough of one, Simone said quietly. Outside, Tasha was waiting with the car. When Naomi and Jordan climbed in, Tasha took one look at their faces and grinned. That good? Better, Jordan said. We broke him. As they drove away from the building, Naomi looked back at the glittering penthouse windows one last time. Then she turned forward, watching the city lights ahead. The hardest part was over. Now came the next chapter, rebuilding, fighting, and reclaiming everything that should have been hers all along. But tonight she had won. She had walked into that party as the joke and walked out with her dignity intact and her future secured. That was enough for now. The morning after the party, Naomi woke up in Tasha's guest room to find her phone flooded with messages. Some were from numbers she didn't recognize, friends of friends who had heard about the party confrontation. Others were from family members her mother had clearly called to spread the news. But the most important message was from Jordan. Pierce hired Theodore Brooks. He's bringing in the big guns. We need to meet today. Theodore Brooks was infamous in legal circles. He specialized in protecting wealthy men during divorces, using every delay tactic and loophole available. The fact that Pierce had retained him within 12 hours meant he was taking the divorce seriously. Good. Naomi wanted him to take it seriously. She met Jordan at the law firm's office at noon. The building was impressive, 30 stories of glass and steel in the financial district. Jordan's office was on the 15th floor, with windows overlooking the city. Brooks already filed a motion to unfreeze the accounts, Jordan said, spreading documents across her desk. He's claiming financial hardship and arguing that freezing everything is excessive. Financial hardship? Naomi laughed. The man has $8 million. Had, Jordan corrected. According to the documents he filed this morning, he's claiming most of that money is gone. Bad investments. Business losses. He's trying to argue there's nothing left to divide. Naomi felt her stomach drop. He moved the money. Probably. Or he's lying about losing it. Either way, we need to dig deeper. Jordan pulled out another folder. I've hired a forensic accountant. Her name is Patricia Chin, and she's the best in the business. She'll trace every transaction, find every hidden account, and document every dollar Pierce has tried to hide. How much will that cost? Naomi asked. Don't worry about cost right now. Many lawyers work on contingency for cases like this, especially when fraud is involved. We'll take it from the settlement. The important thing is building an ironclad case. Over the next week, Naomi's life became a series of meetings. She met with Patricia, a sharp woman in her 50s who asked detailed questions about every aspect of Pierce's financial life. She met with a therapist Jordan recommended, who specialized in helping people recover from financial abuse. She met with a career counselor to discuss returning to school. Each meeting revealed more about how thoroughly Pierce had controlled her life. The therapist explained how financial abuse worked, how abusers isolated their victims from resources, created dependence, and made them question their own judgment. You're not the first person to sit in that chair with this exact story, the therapist said. Wealthy men do this more often than people realize. They have the resources to maintain double lives, and they're skilled at manipulation. I should have seen it, Naomi said. He spent 5 years training you not to see it, the therapist replied. That's not your fault. That's his weapon. The blame belongs entirely to him. The words helped, but Naomi still felt angry at herself. 5 years. She had given him 5 years of her life, her trust, her dreams. But dwelling on the past wouldn't help her future. So she focused on action instead. Patricia's initial findings were damning. Pierce had systematically hidden money in offshore accounts, shell companies, and investments under other people's names. He had moved nearly $2 million in the week before Naomi found his phone, meaning he had somehow known she was getting suspicious. He made a mistake though, Patricia said during their second meeting. He moved the money too obviously, too quickly. That suggests consciousness of wrongdoing. A judge will see right through this. Can we get it back? Naomi asked. Most of it. The offshore stuff will be tricky, but domestic accounts and properties? Yes, we'll get those. Meanwhile, Pierce was making his own moves. He called Naomi repeatedly, leaving voicemails that started apologetic and became increasingly angry. Jordan instructed her not to respond to any of them. The idea excited Naomi. She could build something meaningful from this tragedy. She could help other women avoid the trap she had fallen into. But first, she had to finish the divorce. Pierce's next move was predictable but still painful. He filed a countersuit claiming that Naomi had been unfaithful during their marriage, that she had stolen from him, and that she was not entitled to any of his assets. The claims were completely false, and Jordan immediately filed a motion to dismiss them as frivolous. But the emotional impact still hurt. "He's trying to destroy my reputation," Naomi said to her therapist. "He's trying to regain control," the therapist corrected. When abusers lose power, they often lash out. They try to make their victims look crazy or unreliable. It's a last-ditch effort to maintain dominance. Will it work? Not if you stick to the truth. The evidence is on your side. His claims will fall apart under scrutiny. The therapist was right. Within a week, Pierce withdrew his countersuit. His lawyer must have advised him that pursuing false claims would only damage his credibility with the judge. But the attempt had revealed something important. Pierce was getting desperate. And desperate people made mistakes. The second court hearing was scheduled for early December, 6 weeks after the party. This time, both sides would present their complete financial pictures, and the judge would begin determining how to divide assets. Naomi spent the days before the hearing reviewing documents with Jordan and Patricia. They had compiled a comprehensive record of Pierce's finances, every account, every property, every investment. They had also documented his deliberate concealment of these assets throughout the marriage. "The evidence is overwhelming," Jordan said the night before the hearing. "Unless Pierce has a miracle defense, you're going to get a significant settlement." "What if he declares bankruptcy?" Naomi asked. It was a fear that had been nagging at her. "He can't discharge fraud debts in bankruptcy," Jordan explained. "And what he did to you constitutes fraud. Even if he tries that tactic, you'll still have a claim." The morning of the hearing, Naomi dressed carefully in another borrowed suit. She felt more prepared this time, more confident. She knew her facts. She knew her rights. She knew she was in the right. Pierce looked haggard when she saw him in court. He had lost weight. His expensive suit looked rumpled. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. Part of her felt almost sorry for him. Then she remembered the text messages mocking her. The years of lies. The cruel party invitation designed to humiliate her. Her sympathy evaporated. The hearing lasted 3 hours. Patricia presented her findings, a detailed breakdown of every dollar Pierce had hidden. The offshore accounts, the shell companies, the properties in other people's names, the pattern of deception spanning years. Brooks tried to argue that some of the money had been inherited before the marriage, that some properties were business investments not subject to marital division, that the offshore accounts were legal tax strategies. But the judge wasn't buying it. "Mr. Hammond," she said, "you inherited $8 million 3 years into your marriage. Under state law, that makes it marital property subject to division. You then actively concealed this inheritance from your spouse while maintaining a false narrative that you were financially struggling. That's not a tax strategy. That's fraud." Pierce's face went white. The judge continued, "Furthermore, you moved significant amounts of money immediately before your spouse filed for divorce, suggesting you knew the marriage was ending and attempted to hide assets. You created shell companies to obscure property ownership. You maintained secret accounts. This is a textbook case of financial abuse." She looked at the documents before her, then at Pierce. "I'm ordering a 50-50 division of all marital assets, with additional compensatory damages to Mrs. Hammond for emotional distress. Furthermore, you will be responsible for all legal fees for both sides. Given your deliberate concealment required extensive forensic accounting." Brooks started to object, but the judge held up her hand. "Save it for the final hearing, Mr. Brooks. These are preliminary findings based on the evidence presented. If your client has additional documentation to dispute these findings, bring it to the final hearing in 60 days. But I warn you, I've seen enough to form a clear picture of this case. Your client's behavior has been reprehensible." She banged her gavel. Court adjourned. Outside, Naomi felt like she couldn't breathe. 50-50 split. Plus damages. Plus legal fees. "How much is that?" she asked Jordan. Jordan calculated quickly. "After lawyer fees and taxes? Probably somewhere around $3.5 million. Maybe more, depending on the final property valuations. $3.5 million. More money than Naomi had ever imagined having. I can finish school, she said softly. You can do anything you want, Jordan replied. You can build the life you should have had all along. That evening, Naomi met her mother for dinner at a small restaurant near her mother's house. It was the first time they had seen each other in person in over a year. Her mother hugged her tightly. I'm so proud of you, baby. You stood up for yourself. You fought back. That takes incredible courage. I'm not done yet, Naomi said. There's still the final hearing. But you're winning. That's what matters. You're getting your life back. They talked for hours about everything. The divorce, Naomi's plans for school, her ideas for starting a business. Pierce isolated me, Naomi said. I didn't even realize it was happening, but he cut me off from everyone. That's what they do, her mother said. Controlling men isolate their partners so they have nowhere to turn. But you've turned the tables on him. You've built a new support system. You're connected to people who genuinely care about you. It was true. Over the past 6 weeks, Naomi had reconnected with old friends, built new friendships with Jordan and Tasha, joined a support group for survivors of financial abuse, and started building a network of professional contacts. She wasn't alone anymore. She wasn't isolated. She was part of a community. And that, she realized, was worth more than any settlement check. The 60 days before the final hearing passed quickly. Naomi threw herself into school, work, and preparation. She took online classes. She volunteered at a women's shelter. She started outlining her business plan. Pierce tried one more desperate tactic. He sent her a letter asking her to drop the case in exchange for a small settlement. $100,000 paid immediately if she would agree to walk away. Jordan laughed when she saw it. He's terrified. $100,000 is nothing compared to what he owes you. He's hoping you'll take the easy money and disappear. Not a chance, Naomi said. The final hearing arrived in late January. Snow was falling outside the courthouse windows, creating a peaceful scene that contrasted with the tension inside the courtroom. This hearing lasted all day. Both sides presented final arguments. Brooks tried every legal maneuver he could think of, but the evidence against Pierce was simply too strong. By the time the judge delivered her final ruling, Pierce looked defeated. He didn't even react when she ordered him to pay Naomi $4 million in total. $3 million. This case represents one of the more egregious examples of financial abuse I've encountered, the judge said. Mr. Hammond, you systematically deceived your wife, hid assets, and attempted to defraud the court. You are fortunate Mrs. Hammond chose civil rather than criminal proceedings. Pierce left the courthouse without a word. Naomi watched him go, feeling nothing but relief that this chapter was finally closing. It's over, Jordan said. You won. Completely. Naomi nodded. The battle was over. But the war to rebuild her life, reclaim her dreams, and become the person she was always meant to be, that war was just beginning. And she was ready for it. The final divorce decree arrived in February, making everything official. Naomi was a single woman with $4 million in her bank account and a whole world of possibilities ahead of her. The first thing she did was move into her own place. Not a tiny apartment like the one Pierce had kept her in. Not a luxury penthouse like the one he had bought Simone. Just a comfortable 2-bedroom condo in a nice neighborhood with good natural light and a small balcony. She furnished it slowly, thoughtfully, choosing each piece with care. A comfortable couch where she could read. A proper desk for studying. Plants for the balcony. Everything she chose was hers, selected because she liked it, not because someone else approved. Tasha helped with the decorating, bringing her professional eye for style. But she was careful to let Naomi make all the decisions. This is your space, Tasha said. Your sanctuary. It should reflect who you are, not who anyone else wants you to be. By March, the condo felt like home. Naomi would wake up in the morning, make coffee in her own kitchen, and sit on her balcony watching the city wake up. These quiet moments felt precious, proof that she had made it through the darkness and into something better. She enrolled full-time at the university to finish her degree. Walking onto campus felt surreal after so many years away. But her professors welcomed her back warmly, and she threw herself into her studies with renewed focus. The classes were challenging but exciting. She had forgotten how much she loved learning, analyzing problems, developing solutions. Pierce had made her doubt her intelligence, her capabilities. Now she was proving to herself that she had always been smart enough, capable enough, worthy enough. She joined study groups, made friends with other students, participated actively in class discussions. One of her professors, Dr. Williams, took particular interest in her success. Your life experience gives you perspective other students lack, Dr. Williams told her. You've survived real challenges. You understand resilience in a way most people your age don't. In April, Naomi started volunteering at a women's shelter, teaching financial literacy classes to residents. She showed them how to build credit thoughtfully to help them understand they weren't alone. The work was deeply fulfilling. She could see the hope returning to women's eyes as they learned they had options, skills, power. She remembered being in their position, feeling trapped, scared, helpless. Now she could offer them the tools to break free. One woman, Rachel, approached her after class one evening. "Thank you," Rachel said quietly. "My ex-husband did the same thing to me. Controlled all the money, told me I was too stupid to understand finances. Hearing your story helps me believe I can rebuild too." "You can," Naomi assured her. "It takes time and work, but you absolutely can." These moments reminded Naomi why she had survived everything, not just to escape Pierce, but to help others escape too. In May, she attended a charity event focused on supporting women entrepreneurs. The event was held at a hotel ballroom downtown, full of successful businesswomen and community leaders. Naomi felt slightly nervous walking in. These were established professionals, and she was still a student rebuilding her life. But she reminded herself that she belonged there. She had survived something most of them couldn't imagine. That took strength. She was admiring the silent auction items when someone behind her said, "The photography package is excellent. The artist is incredibly talented." Naomi turned to find a man about her age, maybe early 30s, with kind eyes and an easy smile. He was dressed casually but professionally in dark slacks and a button-down shirt. "Do you know the photographer?" Naomi asked. "I am the photographer," he said with a laugh. "Troy Bennett. I donated the session to support the cause." "It's generous of you," Naomi said. "I'm Naomi. I volunteer with financial literacy programs for women in crisis." They started talking and the conversation flowed easily. Troy explained that he ran a photography business focusing on portraits and events. He donated his services regularly to charities supporting women and children. "My mother left an abusive relationship when I was 10, Troy explained. "We had nothing. A women's shelter gave us a place to stay and helped her get back on her feet. I donate to causes like this because I remember what it meant to receive that help." Naomi felt herself relaxing. Troy understood. He had lived through the aftermath of abuse from the other side, as the child watching his mother rebuild. He knew what recovery looked like. They exchanged business cards. Troy's card had a simple, elegant design with his website and phone number. Naomi's card was new, freshly printed, listing her as an independent financial consultant. "You're starting your own business?" Troy asked. "Eventually," Naomi said. "Still finishing my degree first. But I'm building toward it." "That's impressive," Troy said genuinely. "Starting over takes courage." They talked for another 20 minutes before other people interrupted, drawing Troy away to discuss his photography and pulling Naomi into a conversation about her volunteer work. But before the evening ended, Troy found her again. "I know this might be forward," he said, "but would you like to have coffee sometime? I'd enjoy continuing our conversation." Naomi hesitated. She had sworn off relationships, at least for now. She needed to focus on rebuilding herself, not on finding someone new. But Troy didn't feel like a threat. He felt safe, kind, genuine. And it was just coffee. "Okay," she said. "Coffee sounds nice." They met the following Saturday at a quiet cafe near the university. Troy arrived on time, carrying a small bouquet of daisies. "I wasn't sure if flowers were appropriate," he said, "but my mother always says you can't go wrong with daisies." Naomi accepted them with a smile. "They're perfect." They ordered coffee and settled into a corner booth. The conversation picked up where it had left off at the charity event, flowing naturally from topic to topic. Troy told her about growing up in the shelter system, watching his mother work 3 jobs while going to night school. About learning photography as a teenager when a community center offered free classes. About building his business slowly over 10 years, reinvesting every penny until he could finally support himself comfortably. "It wasn't easy," Troy admitted. "There were years I barely made rent. But I kept showing up, kept improving, kept believing it would work out." Naomi focusing more on her recovery. She talked about finishing school, building her consulting business, helping other women avoid the traps she had fallen into. "You're turning trauma into purpose," Troy observed. "That's powerful. It helps make sense of everything," Naomi said. "If I can help even one person avoid what I went through, then maybe it wasn't all for nothing." They talked for 3 hours. When they finally left the cafe, Troy walked her to her car. "Can I see you again?" he asked. "Yes," Naomi said. "I'd like that." Over the next few months, they saw each other regularly. Coffee dates became dinner dates. Dinner dates became walks through the park, visits to art museums, cooking together at Naomi's condo. Troy was patient with Naomi's boundaries. He never pushed for more than she was ready to give. When she explained she needed to take things slow, that she was still healing from her marriage, he simply nodded and said, "We move at your pace." No pressure. That patience meant everything. Pierce had always pushed, demanded, controlled. Troy simply existed beside her, supportive but not suffocating. By June, Naomi was busy with final exams. She spent long nights studying, writing papers, preparing presentations. Troy would bring her coffee and snacks, then quietly leave her to work. He didn't demand her attention or complain about her busy schedule. He just supported her. When she walked across the stage at graduation in July, receiving her business degree 7 years after she had started it, Troy was in the audience cheering. So were her mother, Tasha, Jordan, and several friends from her volunteer work. After the ceremony, her mother hugged her tightly. "Your father would be so proud." "I'm so proud. I couldn't have done it without all of you," Naomi said, tears streaming down her face. That evening, they celebrated at a nice restaurant. Troy gave her a gift, a professional business card holder engraved with her name and financial consultant. "For your business," he said, "which is going to be incredibly successful." Naomi looked around the table at the people who had supported her through the darkest period of her life and into this bright new chapter. She felt overwhelmed with gratitude. This was what real love looked like. Not control, not manipulation, but genuine support, encouragement, celebration of her success. In August, Naomi officially launched her consulting business. She rented a small office space, hired a part-time assistant, and began taking clients. Her first customers were women she had met through the shelter, women who needed help building financial independence after leaving abusive situations. She charged sliding scale fees, offering free services to those who couldn't afford to pay. She could afford to be generous now, thanks to her settlement. And helping these women felt more valuable than any amount of money. Word spread quickly. Within 2 months, she had a waiting list. Other professionals started referring clients to her. A local newspaper wrote an article about her business, focusing on her unique approach to financial consulting combined with trauma-informed support. The article brought more clients, including some who had never experienced abuse but appreciated her practical, empowering approach to money management. By October, Naomi had to hire another consultant to handle the growing workload. She chose a woman named Sharon who had a similar background, survivor of financial abuse, rebuilt her life, passionate about helping others. "We're building something important," Sharon said during her first week. "This isn't just business. This is changing lives." She was right. The testimonials from clients were overwhelming. Women who had been terrified of money were now confidently managing budgets. Women who had been dependent on abusive partners were now financially independent. Women who had felt hopeless were now planning futures. In November, Naomi received an unexpected email. It was from a journalist at a national business magazine, asking to interview her about her work. "Your story is remarkable," the journalist wrote. "A woman who survived financial abuse and turned her experience into a thriving business helping other survivors. Our readers would be inspired by this." The interview happened in December. The journalist asked thoughtful questions about her background, her business model, her vision for the future. The resulting article came out in January, exactly 1 year after her divorce was finalized. The magazine featured her story prominently, with a photo of Naomi in her office, looking professional and confident. The headline read, "From Survival to Success, How One Woman's Betrayal Became a Blueprint for Helping Others." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Her website crashed from traffic. She received hundreds of emails from women sharing their own stories and asking for help. Other consultants reached out wanting to learn her methods. "You're going viral," Tasha said, showing Naomi the social media post sharing her story. "This is huge." Naomi felt humbled by the attention. She hadn't set out to become famous or build an empire. She had just wanted to rebuild her life and help others do the same. But maybe that was exactly why people responded to her story. It was authentic. It was real. It wasn't about revenge or bitterness. It was about transformation and purpose. In February, exactly 2 years after Pierce had invited her to that party, Naomi attended another charity event at the same hotel. She was there as a featured speaker, invited to talk about financial empowerment. She stood at the podium looking out at 200 faces and felt a surge of pride. 2 years ago, she had been a woman who thought she was broke, controlled by a manipulative husband. Now she was a successful business owner, a degree holder, a community leader making a real difference. As she delivered her speech about financial independence and healing from abuse, she saw heads nodding, people taking notes, women wiping away tears. Her words were landing because they came from genuine experience. After her speech, a long line formed of people wanting to talk to her. They thanked her for her honesty. They asked for advice. Troy stood nearby, photographing the event. When the line finally ended and they walked to his car together, he put his arm around her shoulders. "You were amazing up there," he said. "I was terrified," Naomi admitted. "Courage isn't the absence of fear," Troy said. "It's acting despite fear. You've shown more courage in 2 years than most people show in a lifetime." They drove to her condo and made dinner together. It had become their routine, comfortable, easy, supportive. Troy still had his own apartment, and they still took things at Naomi's pace. But their relationship had deepened into something solid and real. That night, as they ate pasta and talked about the event, Naomi realized something. She was happy. Genuinely, completely happy. Not because of any relationship or any amount of money or any business success. She was happy because she had reclaimed herself. She had rediscovered her strength, her intelligence, her worth. She had built a life based on her own values and choices. Everything else, the relationship with Troy, the successful business, the community respect, was just icing on the cake. The real victory was internal. The real transformation was personal. Pierce had tried to make her small. He had tried to convince her she was worthless, incompetent, lucky to have him. But he had failed. She had proven him wrong in every possible way. And that, Naomi thought as she looked across the table at Troy's kind face, was the sweetest revenge of all. Not hurting Pierce. Not taking his money. But becoming the person she was always meant to be. Life had settled into a comfortable rhythm by March, 2 years after everything changed. Naomi's business was expanding beyond anything she had imagined. She had hired 3 more consultants and was looking at opening a second office across town. She was meeting with a potential investor one afternoon when her assistant knocked on the door. "Naomi, there's someone here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent." Something in her assistant's tone made Naomi pause. "Who is it?" "Pierce Hammond." The name hit Naomi like cold water. She hadn't seen or spoken to Pierce since the final court date over a year ago. She had successfully built a life that didn't include him in any way. "Should I tell him you're busy?" her assistant asked. Naomi considered it. She could easily refuse to see him. She owed him nothing. But curiosity won. What could he possibly want after all this time? "Give me 5 minutes," she told the investor. "Then send him in." She used the time to compose herself, reminding herself that Pierce had no power over her anymore. He was just a man who had once hurt her. Nothing more. When Pierce walked in, she barely recognized him. He had aged dramatically in 2 years. His hair had gone gray at the temples. He looked thinner, almost frail. The expensive suit he wore hung loose on his frame. "Naomi," he said. "Thank you for seeing me." She didn't stand or offer to shake his hand. She just gestured to the chair across from her desk. "You have 5 minutes." Pierce sat down, looking uncomfortable in her elegant office. She could see him taking in the details, the modern furniture, the frame certifications on the wall, the view of the city. "You've done well," he said. "I've done what I was always capable of doing," Naomi corrected. "You just spent 5 years trying to convince me I couldn't." He flinched at that. "I deserve that. You deserve a lot worse than that. What do you want, Pierce?" He took a deep breath. "I'm in trouble. Legal trouble. The IRS is investigating me for tax fraud. They found the offshore accounts, the shell companies. Everything Patricia uncovered in our divorce is now part of a criminal investigation." Naomi kept her expression neutral. "I'm sorry to hear that. I'm going to lose everything," Pierce continued. "My business, my properties, possibly even my freedom. My lawyers say I'm looking at serious prison time. Again, I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm not sure why you're telling me this." Pierce leaned forward. "I was hoping you might consider testifying on my behalf. Telling the prosecutor that I wasn't as bad as the documents make me look. That there were good times in our marriage. That I'm not a monster." Naomi stared at him in disbelief. "You want me to lie for you?" "Not lie. Just present a more balanced picture." "The balanced picture is that you systematically abused me for 5 years," Naomi said, her voice cold. You hid millions of dollars. You made me believe we were broke while you lived in luxury. You invited me to a party specifically to humiliate me. That's the balanced picture. I know I made mistakes. Mistakes? Naomi interrupted. You didn't make mistakes. You made calculated decisions to control and deceive me. There's a difference. Pierce's face reddened. I came here to ask for help, not to be lectured. Then you came to the wrong place, Naomi said. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to lie to prosecutors. I'm not going to minimize what you did. You earned these consequences. Now you get to live with them. You've become cold, Pierce said bitterly. The Naomi I married would have helped me. The Naomi you married was naive and trusting, Naomi replied. You systematically destroyed those qualities in me. So yes, I've changed. I've become someone who protects herself instead of enabling abusers. Pierce stood up. Fine. I shouldn't have expected anything different. You've clearly moved on. I have, Naomi agreed. Completely. He walked to the door, then paused and turned back. I saw the magazine article about you. You made it sound like I ruined your life. You tried to, Naomi said. But I didn't let you. I rebuilt something better than what you destroyed. That must really bother you. Pierce's jaw tightened. You know what bothers me? You built your entire business on our story. You're profiting from our divorce. I'm helping women who survived what I survived, Naomi corrected. The fact that my experience includes you isn't my fault. You're the one who created the situation I'm now helping others escape. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Pierce muttered. I sleep great, Naomi said. How about you? Pierce didn't answer. He just left, closing the door harder than necessary. Naomi sat still for a moment, processing the encounter. She had expected to feel something, anger, satisfaction, maybe even pity. Instead, she felt nothing. Pierce was just a man who had once hurt her. He wasn't important enough to occupy space in her emotional life anymore. Her assistant knocked again. Are you okay? That looked intense. I'm fine, Naomi said honestly. Just dealing with the past. It's over now. She went back to her meeting with the investor, pushing Pierce out of her mind. He had taken enough of her time over the years. He didn't deserve another minute. But that evening, when she told Troy about the encounter, she found herself more affected than she had realized. He actually asked me to lie for him, she said, pacing her living room. After everything he did, he thought I would help him avoid consequences. That's how entitled abusers think, Troy said. They genuinely believe the world owes them things, even from the people they've hurt. He looked so pathetic, Naomi said. Part of me almost felt sorry for him. Did you? Troy asked gently. Naomi thought about it. No, not really. I felt sorry that any person could make the choices he made. But I don't feel sorry for him specifically. He earned every bit of what's happening to him. That's healthy, Troy said. Empathy doesn't mean letting people off the hook for their actions. The next day, Naomi received a call from a federal prosecutor named Agent Martinez. He explained that Pierce was indeed under investigation and that they had subpoenaed records from their divorce case. We'd like to talk to you about your ex-husband's financial activities during your marriage, Agent Martinez said. Your divorce documents contain evidence relevant to our case. I'll help in any way I can, Naomi said. She met with Agent Martinez the following week, bringing copies of all the documents from her divorce. She walked him through everything, the hidden accounts, the properties in false names, the offshore money, the systematic deception. This is extremely helpful, Agent Martinez said. Your documentation is thorough. It's rare to see such clear evidence of intentional fraud. I had good help, Naomi said, thinking of Jordan and Patricia. Did your ex-husband contact you recently? Agent Martinez asked. Yes, Naomi said. He asked me to testify on his behalf, essentially asking me to minimize his actions. And you refused? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie for him. He committed fraud. Against me and apparently against the government. He should face the consequences. Agent Martinez nodded approvingly. I wish more witnesses had your clarity and courage. After the meeting, Naomi felt lighter. She had told the truth. She had provided evidence. Whatever happened to Pierce now was out of her hands and entirely his fault. She focused back on her business and her life. In April, she was invited to speak at a women's conference in Seattle. It was her first speaking engagement outside her home city, and she was nervous but excited. Troy came with her, photographing the event. Watching him work reminded her why she cared about him, his patience, his artistic eye, the way he respected people's boundaries while capturing authentic moments. Her speech in Seattle was well received. Afterward, several women approached her wanting to start similar consulting businesses in their own cities. Naomi spent hours talking with them, sharing her business model, offering encouragement. "You're inspiring people," one woman said. "You're showing us that we can transform pain into purpose." These moments reminded Naomi why she had survived everything. Not for revenge, not for money, but to help others find their own strength. In May, she learned that Pierce had been formally indicted on multiple counts of tax fraud and financial crimes. The news made local headlines. Local real estate developer faces criminal charges. Tasha called immediately. "Did you see the news?" "I saw," Naomi said. "How do you feel?" "Honestly, relieved. It means his pattern of behavior has finally caught up with him. Maybe now he can't hurt anyone else." The trial was scheduled for August. The prosecutor's office contacted Naomi again, asking if she would testify as a witness. She agreed without hesitation. "Are you sure?" Jordan asked when Naomi told her. "Testifying means seeing him again, being cross-examined by his lawyers. It could be stressful." "I'm sure," Naomi said. "He tried to destroy me. The least I can do is tell the truth about what he did." She prepared for her testimony with the prosecutor's office, reviewing documents and timelines. She practiced staying calm under pressure, answering questions clearly and directly. When August arrived and the trial began, Naomi was ready. The courthouse was packed when Pierce's trial began. The case had drawn media attention. Wealthy developer accused of hiding millions in offshore accounts, defrauding the IRS, and deceiving his ex-wife. It had all the elements of a compelling story. Naomi sat in the witness waiting room trying to stay calm. She wore a professional navy suit and had her hair pulled back neatly. She looked like what she was, a successful businesswoman with nothing to hide. Troy waited outside the courthouse, not allowed in during her testimony, but knowing he was nearby helped. When they called her name, Naomi walked into the courtroom with her head high. Pierce sat at the defense table with Theodore Brooks and another expensive lawyer. He looked older, more tired than when he had visited her office months ago. She didn't look at him. She looked at the prosecutor, Agent Martinez, who gave her an encouraging nod. After being sworn in, she sat in the witness chair. The courtroom was quiet, everyone waiting to hear what she would say. The prosecutor approached. "Mrs. Hammond, can you describe your marriage to the defendant?" "We were married for 5 years," Naomi said clearly. "During that time, Pierce told me we were struggling financially. He said we couldn't afford basic things. I believed him." "Did you have any reason not to believe him?" "No. He was my husband. I trusted him." The prosecutor walked her through the discovery of Pierce's deception, how she had found his second phone, the messages with Simone, the bank statements showing millions of dollars she never knew existed. "How did you feel when you discovered this?" the prosecutor asked. "Betrayed," Naomi said simply. "He had spent 5 years lying to me about our basic financial situation. While I was cutting coupons to save money on groceries, he was buying luxury properties." "Did the defendant ever discuss his finances with you?" "Never. He controlled all the money. He gave me a small allowance for household expenses and told me that was all we could afford." "Did you know about the offshore accounts?" "Not until the forensic accountant discovered them during our divorce." The prosecutor showed her various documents, bank statements, property deeds, transfer records. Naomi identified each one, explaining how it related to Pierce's secret financial life. The testimony was straightforward. She stuck to facts, didn't exaggerate, didn't editorialize. She just told the truth about what had happened. Then came cross-examination. Brooks stood up, attempting to look sympathetic. "Mrs. Hammond," he began, "isn't it true that you profited significantly from your divorce?" "I received half of marital assets," Naomi replied, "which is standard in divorce proceedings. $4 million seems like quite a profit." "Objection," the prosecutor said. "Argumentative." "Sustained," the judge said. "Rephrase, Mr. Brooks." Brooks tried again. "You've built a successful business based on your divorce story, correct?" "I've built a business helping women recover from financial abuse," Naomi corrected. "My personal experience is part of that, yes." "So you've financially benefited from your ex-husband's behavior?" "I've benefited from helping others," Naomi said calmly. "The fact that my experience includes abuse isn't something I created. That was done to me." Brooks tried to suggest that Naomi had exaggerated Pierce's behavior, that she had been motivated by greed, that she was an unreliable witness. But each time, Naomi responded with calm facts. "I have documentation of everything I've testified to," she said. "Bank records, messages, property deeds. These aren't opinions. They're facts." After 90 minutes, Brooks gave up and sat down. He had made no dents in her testimony. "You may step down," the judge said. Naomi left the witness stand feeling exhausted but strong. She had told the truth. She had remained calm. She had done what she came to do. Outside the courthouse, Troy was waiting with coffee and a supportive smile. "How did it go?" he asked. "It went well," Naomi said. "I told the truth. That's all I needed to do." The trial continued for 2 more weeks. Other witnesses testified: IRS agents, forensic accountants, Pierce's former business partners. The evidence against Pierce was overwhelming. The defense tried to argue that Pierce had made innocent mistakes, that the offshore accounts were legal tax strategies, that he had intended to eventually tell his wife about the money. But the prosecution systematically dismantled every argument. They showed the jury that Pierce had deliberately created shell companies to hide assets, that he had moved money specifically to avoid detection, that he had lied repeatedly to the IRS, to his wife, and to the court during his divorce. When closing arguments came, the prosecutor summarized everything clearly. "This is not a case about complicated financial structures or innocent mistakes. This is a case about a man who deliberately, systematically committed fraud for years. He hid money from the government. He deceived his wife. He created false documents. And when he was caught, he tried to hide even more money. The evidence is clear, comprehensive, and damning." The jury deliberated for 2 days. Naomi didn't attend the final proceedings, but Jordan kept her updated. When the verdict came back, it was guilty on all counts. Tax fraud, financial crimes, obstruction of justice, everything. The judge scheduled sentencing for 6 weeks later. Pierce faced up to 15 years in federal prison. Naomi felt a complicated mix of emotions when she heard the news. Not joy, she didn't enjoy seeing anyone face prison. But relief, justice, validation that she had been right about Pierce's behavior. "You must feel vindicated," Tasha said when they met for dinner that night. "I feel like the truth won," Naomi said. "That's all I wanted. For people to know what really happened." Troy squeezed her hand across the table. "You showed incredible courage throughout all of this. Testifying, facing him in court, telling your story publicly. That took real strength." "I did what needed to be done," Naomi said. "Other women are watching. They need to see that abusers face consequences. That speaking up matters." The sentencing hearing happened in October, 3 years after that fateful party. Pierce's lawyers asked for leniency, presenting character witnesses who testified that Pierce had done good things in his life. But the judge wasn't moved. "Mr. Hammond," she said, "you had every advantage. Wealth, education, opportunity. Instead of using those advantages responsibly, you used them to deceive and manipulate. You betrayed your wife's trust. You defrauded the government. You showed no remorse until you were caught. And even then, your primary concern was avoiding consequences rather than taking responsibility." She sentenced him to 12 years in federal prison, with no possibility of early parole. Additionally, he had to pay back taxes, penalties, and restitution totaling millions of dollars. Pierce showed no emotion as the sentence was read. He simply stood there, defeated, as the bailiffs led him away. Naomi watched from the gallery. She felt nothing for him now, not hatred, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just a sense of closure. This chapter of her life was finally, completely finished. Outside, "I hope this case sends a message," Naomi said. "Financial abuse is real. It has serious consequences. And survivors who speak up should be believed and supported." The reporters asked if she felt the sentence was fair. "I think the sentence reflects his actions," Naomi said. "He made deliberate choices over many years. Now he faces the consequences of those choices." "Do you forgive him?" one reporter asked. Naomi paused at that question. "Forgiveness is complicated. I don't wish him additional harm. But I also don't forget what he did. I've moved forward with my life, and that's what matters most to me." That evening, her mother called. "I saw the news. How are you feeling, baby?" "I'm okay," Naomi said. "Actually, I'm better than okay. I'm relieved it's over." "You've been so strong through all of this," her mother said. "Your father would be so proud of the woman you've become." Naomi felt tears prick her eyes. Her father had died when she was young, but she still remembered his advice. Stand up for yourself. Don't let anyone make you feel small. She had followed that advice. even when it was hard. Even when it meant facing her abuser in court. Even when it meant telling her painful story publicly. And now, finally, she could close this chapter completely and focus entirely on the future. The next day, she received an unexpected email. It was from Simone, Pierce's former mistress, who Naomi hadn't heard from since the party 3 years ago. Dear Naomi, the email began. I saw the news about Pierce's sentencing. I wanted to reach out to say I'm sorry. Not just for my role in what happened to you, but for doubting your story at first. When you told me at the party that Pierce was still married, part of me didn't want to believe it. It was easier to think you were exaggerating. But you weren't. You were telling the truth about everything. I should have believed you immediately. I should have supported you. Instead, I spent months angry at both of you. It took me too long to realize that we were both his victims, just in different ways. I'm truly sorry for that. I hope you're doing well. Based on what I've read about your business, it seems like you've built an amazing life. You deserve that after everything you went through. Thank you for being strong enough to speak the truth, even when it was difficult. Sincerely, Simone. Naomi read the email twice, surprised by the emotions it stirred. She had spent so little time thinking about Simone over the past 3 years. In her mind, Simone was just another person Pierce had manipulated. She sat with the email for a day before responding. Dear Simone, she wrote. Thank you for reaching out. I appreciate your apology, though I want you to know I never blamed you for what Pierce did. He lied to both of us. The responsibility for that lies entirely with him, not with you. I hope you've also been able to rebuild your life. What happened affected both of us, and we both deserved better. Take care, Naomi. She hit send, feeling another small piece of closure click into place. The past was truly past now. All the players in that chapter of her life had moved on. Now she could focus entirely on what came next, the exciting, fulfilling life she was building on her own terms. That weekend, Troy took her to dinner at a nice restaurant overlooking the water. It was a celebration, he said, though he wouldn't tell her what they were celebrating. After dinner, as they walked along the waterfront, Troy stopped at a bench and turned to face her. Naomi, he said, these past 2 years with you have been incredible. I've watched you transform from someone healing from trauma into someone who helps others heal. I've seen you build a business, finish your degree, face your abuser in court, and never lose your kindness or integrity. Naomi felt her heart racing. She knew what was coming. I love you, Troy continued. Not because I want to save you or fix you, you've done that yourself. But because you inspire me. Because you make me want to be better. Because you're the strongest, most genuine person I've ever met. He pulled a small box from his pocket and opened it, revealing a simple, elegant ring. I'm not trying to rush you. We can have as long an engagement as you want. But I wanted you to know, I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me? Naomi looked at the ring, at Troy's hopeful face, at the city lights reflecting on the water behind him. She thought about her journey from that tiny apartment where she had been so controlled and diminished, through the painful discovery and divorce, to this moment of joy and possibility. Yes, she said. Yes, I'll marry you. Troy slipped the ring on her finger and pulled her into a kiss. Around them, a few people noticed and applauded. When they broke apart, Naomi was crying happy tears. I never thought I'd want to get married again, she admitted. After everything with Pierce, I thought marriage was just another trap. Marriage with the wrong person is a trap, Troy said. With the right person, it's a partnership. An equal one. Equal, Naomi repeated. I like that. They walked back to the car hand in hand, both smiling. Naomi looked at the ring on her finger, simple, beautiful, chosen with care. Not meant to show off or impress anyone. Just a symbol of genuine love and respect. This, she thought, was what a real relationship looked like. What healthy love felt like. And it was better than anything she had imagined. The engagement announcement brought congratulations from everyone in Naomi's life. Her mother cried happy tears. Tasha immediately started planning an engagement party. Jordan raised a glass of champagne and said, about time. But Naomi wasn't rushing into anything. She and Troy agreed to a long engagement, at least a year, maybe more. They wanted to make sure they built their life together carefully, intentionally. No one is going to pressure us, Troy said. This is our timeline. Our choices. That sense of control over her own life still felt precious to Naomi. Every decision she made now was hers. Every choice was based on what she wanted, not on what someone else demanded. By November, 3 years after that party that changed everything, Naomi's business had expanded to 3 locations. She had 12 employees now, all women, many of them survivors who she had trained personally. She had also started offering workshops and online courses, REIT deal had just been finalized, a guide to financial recovery after abuse, scheduled for publication next year. She was invited to speak at conferences regularly now. Each time, she told her story with the same goal, helping others recognize the signs of financial abuse and giving them tools to escape it. At one conference in December, a young woman approached her afterward with tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," the woman said. "My boyfriend controls all our money. He says it's because I'm bad with finances, but hearing your story, I realize he's using the same tactics. You just saved my life." These moments made everything worthwhile. Every difficult testimony. Every time she relived her trauma to help someone else. "You're changing the world," Troy said that evening as they video chatted. He was in Atlanta on a photography assignment, but they talked every night he was away. "I'm just telling the truth," Naomi said. "The truth changes things. Silence protects abusers." During the holidays, Naomi hosted a gathering at her condo for her employees. She wanted them to feel appreciated, valued, part of something meaningful. Sharon, her second hire, stood up to make a toast. "3 years ago, I was sleeping in my car and didn't know how I'd feed my kids. Naomi gave me a job, taught me skills, and helped me rebuild my life. Now I own my own home and I'm helping other women do the same. That's the ripple effect of kindness and support. So thank you, Naomi, for believing in all of us." Everyone raised their glasses. Naomi felt overwhelmed with emotion. She had built this, not just a business but a community, a support system, a group of women lifting each other up. The new year brought new opportunities. A television network contacted her about a documentary series on financial abuse. A major university invited her to develop a curriculum for a new certificate program. A national women's organization asked her to join their board. "You're becoming a household name," Jordan observed over lunch in January. "That still feels surreal," Naomi admitted. "3 years ago, I was nobody. Now people recognize me in grocery stores." "You were never nobody," Jordan corrected. "You were just hidden. Now you're visible. There's a difference." In February, exactly 4 years after her divorce was finalized, Naomi's book was released. Rising After the Fall, a guide to financial recovery, debuted on the bestseller list. The reviews praised its practical advice and compassionate tone. She did a book tour, traveling to 12 cities in 3 weeks. At every event, the rooms were packed. Women came with their own stories of financial abuse, seeking hope and guidance. One woman brought her teenage daughter. "I want her to read your book," the mother said. "I want her to know the warning signs so she never ends up in the situation I was in." Education is prevention, Naomi agreed. Teaching young women to protect themselves is crucial. Troy joined her for the last week of the tour, photographing the events for a behind-the-scenes documentary. Watching him work still made her smile. His patience, his eye for meaningful moments, the respect he showed every person he photographed. Back home in March, Naomi finally had time to focus on wedding planning. She and Troy kept it simple, a small ceremony with close friends and family, followed by a reception at a beautiful garden venue. "Nothing extravagant," Naomi insisted. "Just something meaningful. Whatever makes you happy," Troy said. "This is about us, not about impressing anyone." They chose late May for the wedding, giving them time to plan without stress. Tasha handled the styling, of course. Jordan agreed to be maid of honor. Troy's brother would be best man. As spring arrived, Naomi found herself reflecting on her journey. 4 years ago, she had been living in a tiny apartment, believing she was broke, controlled by a manipulative husband. She had felt small, powerless, trapped. Now she owned a thriving business. She had published a best-selling book. She was engaged to a kind, supportive partner. She had built genuine friendships and a strong support network. She helped other women escape the trap she had been in. The transformation was complete. Not because she had gotten revenge on Pierce, though justice had certainly been served, but because she had reclaimed herself. She had remembered who she was before Pierce, and she had become even stronger than that person. One April evening, she was working late at her office when her phone rang. It was an unknown number, but something made her answer. "Hello? Naomi? It's Rachel. From the shelter. You taught my financial literacy class 3 years ago." Naomi remembered her, a quiet woman who had been terrified of managing money after leaving her abusive husband. "Rachel, how are you?" "I'm amazing," Rachel said, her voice bright with happiness. "I just bought my first house. I have a good job. My kids are thriving. I wanted to call and thank you because you showed me it was possible. You proved that we can rebuild after abuse." Naomi felt tears welling up. I'm so proud of you. You did the hard work. You rebuilt your life. You gave me the tools and the hope, Rachel said. That's everything. After the call ended, Naomi sat quietly in her office, looking at the photos on her wall. Photos of her graduation. Photos of her business team. Photos of women she had helped. This was her legacy. Not money or fame or revenge, but and strong enough to turn her pain into purpose. Troy called as she was locking up the office. Hey, I'm making dinner. Should be ready when you get home. I'm on my way, Naomi said. Troy. Yeah. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I love you too, he said. Drive safe. The wedding was beautiful. Simple but elegant, held in a garden on a perfect May afternoon. Naomi wore a flowing white dress that made her feel beautiful without trying too hard. Troy wore a classic suit and couldn't stop smiling. Her mother walked her down the aisle, both of them crying happy tears. Jordan stood beside her as maid of honor, looking proud. Troy's family welcomed her warmly, treating her like she had always been part of their family. When Troy said his vows, his voice was steady and sincere. I promise to be your partner, not your owner. To support your dreams, not limit them. To celebrate your success, not compete with it. To love you as an equal, always. Naomi's vows were equally meaningful. I promise to trust you with my heart because you've shown me what real love looks like. To build a life with you based on honesty and respect. To choose you every day, not because I have to, but because I want to. They exchanged simple rings, matching bands that symbolized their equal partnership. When the officiant pronounced them married, Troy kissed her gently while their guests cheered. Naomi felt complete joy, the kind that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The reception was full of laughter and celebration. Naomi's employees surprised her with a video montage of testimonials from clients whose lives had changed. Jordan gave a toast about friendship and resilience. Troy's mother welcomed Naomi to the family with genuine warmth. During their first dance, Troy whispered, "Happy?" "Incredibly happy," Naomi said. "This feels right. Real. Healthy." "That's because it is," Troy said. "This is what love is supposed to feel like." Later that evening, as the party wound down, Tasha pulled Naomi aside. "Do you remember that night?" Tasha asked. "When I did your makeup for the party? When we were planning to show Pierce and his friends that you weren't the pathetic wife they expected?" "I remember," Naomi said. "I was so nervous." "Look at you now," Tasha said. "You didn't just show them you weren't pathetic. You built an empire. You changed lives. You found real love. You won in every possible way." Naomi hugged her cousin tightly. "Thank you for being there that night. For helping me be brave." "You were always brave," Tasha said. "I just helped you look good while doing it." Naomi and Troy left for their honeymoon the next day, 2 weeks in Greece, wandering through ancient ruins, swimming in crystal clear water, eating amazing food, and simply enjoying being together. One evening, sitting on a terrace overlooking the sea, Troy took her hand. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "How different my life is now," Naomi said. 4 years ago, I thought my life was over. I thought I'd lost everything. But I was wrong. I hadn't lost anything important. I'd just been living a false life. The real one was waiting for me to claim it." "And you did claim it," Troy said. "You fought for it. You built it. You earned every bit of happiness you have now." Naomi squeezed his hand. "We did. Together." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the Mediterranean. The past felt distant now, important for the lessons it taught, but no longer painful. The future felt bright, full of possibility. Naomi had learned the most important lesson of all. Her value didn't come from anyone else. Not from a husband or a relationship or external validation. It came from within herself, from her own strength and resilience and determination. Pierce had tried to convince her she was worthless. He had failed. She had proven him wrong in the most powerful way possible, by becoming exactly who she was meant to be. And that victory was permanent. No one could ever take it away. Returning from the honeymoon felt like coming home to a life Naomi had built with her own hands. She and Troy moved into a house together, not a mansion, but a comfortable home with space for both of them to work, a garden for growing vegetables, and a guest room for when family visited. The transition from independent single woman to married life was surprisingly easy. Troy respected her space and autonomy. They made decisions together as true partners. When disagreements arose, they talked through them calmly without anyone trying to control or manipulate. "This is what healthy looks like," Naomi's therapist said during a check-in session. "You've built a relationship based on mutual respect and equality. That's exactly what you deserved all along. By June, Naomi's business had grown so much she needed to hire an operations manager. I want to make sure we never lose sight of our mission, Naomi told Bethany during her first week. Yes, we're a business and we need to be profitable. But our real purpose is changing lives. That always comes first. That's why I wanted to work here, Bethany said. I've worked for a lot of companies that talked about making a difference. This is the first one that actually does. With Bethany handling operations, Naomi had more time to focus on expanding their impact. She developed partnerships with domestic violence shelters across the country, offering free financial literacy training to their residents. She created scholarship programs to help women pay for financial education. She also started a podcast called Rising Up, where she interviewed other women who had survived and thrived after abuse. The stories were powerful: women who had lost everything and rebuilt better lives, women who had turned trauma into advocacy, women who refused to stay victims. The podcast became surprisingly popular, regularly hitting the top 10 in the self-improvement category. Listeners sent messages thanking her for creating space for these conversations. One message particularly moved her. I've been out of my abusive marriage for 5 years, but I still felt ashamed about what happened to me. Listening to your podcast, hearing other women's stories, I realized I'm not alone and I have nothing to be ashamed of. Thank you for breaking the silence. You're giving people permission to tell their truth, Troy observed one evening as they cooked dinner together. That's powerful. In August, Naomi was invited to testify before a congressional committee about financial abuse and needed policy changes. She was nervous. Speaking to elected officials felt more intimidating than any conference presentation. But when she sat before the committee, she found her voice. Financial abuse is the least discussed but most common form of domestic abuse, she told them. 98% of abuse cases involve some form of financial control. But we rarely talk about it, and we have almost no legal protections for victims. She presented specific policy recommendations: better access to credit repair for abuse survivors, penalties for partners who hide assets, protection for victims trying to rebuild their financial lives. Several committee members asked thoughtful questions. One congresswoman thanked her for her testimony, saying, "We need more voices like yours in these conversations. You're creating real change." The testimony aired on C-SPAN and was covered by several news outlets. Naomi's phone exploded with interview requests and speaking invitations. "You're officially influential now," Jordan joked. "How does it feel?" "Overwhelming," Naomi admitted. "But important. If I have a platform, I should use it." In September, she launched a fellowship program, training other survivors to become financial consultants and coaches. She wanted to create more advocates, more women who could help others rebuild. The first cohort of fellows included 12 women from across the country. They spent 3 months learning financial counseling, trauma-informed support, and business development. Naomi taught many of the classes herself, sharing everything she had learned. At the graduation ceremony in December, one fellow named Teresa gave a speech. "A year ago, I was living in a shelter with my 2 kids, feeling hopeless. Today, I'm launching my own consulting practice to help other women. Naomi didn't just give me skills, she gave me proof that transformation is possible. Now I'm going to do the same for others." Naomi sat in the audience crying happy tears. This was what success looked like, not her own achievements, but the ripple effect of creating opportunities for others. That Christmas was special. Troy's family and Naomi's family celebrated together at their house. The rooms were full of laughter, good food, and genuine affection. Naomi looked around at the people she loved, all together, and felt overwhelming gratitude. Her mother pulled her aside at one point. "You know what I'm most proud of? Not your business or your book or any of that. I'm proud that you stayed kind. After everything Pierce put you through, you could have become bitter. But you chose compassion instead. Bitterness only hurts the person carrying it," Naomi said. "I decided to carry hope instead." In January, 5 years after that party, Naomi received surprising news. Pierce was being released early from prison. He had served 5 years of his 12-year sentence and earned early release for good behavior and participation in counseling programs. Naomi felt her stomach clench when Jordan told her, "Is he allowed to contact me?" "No. There's a restraining order in place from your divorce. He can't come near you or communicate with you in any way." "Good," Naomi said. "I don't want anything to do with him." But part of her wondered if she would run into him. Their city wasn't that large. Eventually their paths might cross. She decided not to worry about it. Pierce was his own problem now. She had built a life he wasn't part of. In February, it happened. She was having coffee at a cafe near her office when she saw him walk in. He looked older, thinner, wearing cheap clothes that hung on his frame. He looked like someone who had spent years in prison. Their eyes met across the cafe. Pierce's face showed recognition, then shame. He turned to leave. "Pierce," Naomi called. She surprised herself. He turned back, uncertain. "You can stay," she said. "The world is big enough for both of us." Pierce nodded slowly. "Thank you." His voice was rough, like he didn't use it much. He got his coffee and sat at a table on the opposite side of the cafe. They didn't speak again. But Naomi noticed he looked diminished, defeated. Not like the confident manipulator she had married. When she told Troy about it later, he asked how she felt. "Neutral," Naomi said. "He's just a person who made terrible choices. I don't hate him. I don't fear him. Nothing. He's irrelevant to my life." "That's healthy," Troy said. "You've truly moved on." Naomi thought about that. She had moved on. Not by forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't matter, but by building something so much better that the past simply didn't have power over her anymore. In March, her second book was published. This one focused on helping women start businesses after crisis. It sold even better than the first, debuting at number 3 on the bestseller list. She was invited on morning talk shows, podcasts, and news programs. Each time, she emphasized the same message: recovery is possible, but it requires support systems, resources, and women refusing to stay silent. "You've become the voice for survivors everywhere," one interviewer said. "I'm one voice among many," Naomi corrected. "There are thousands of women telling their stories. I'm just lucky enough to have a platform." By April, her business had grown to 5 locations with 35 employees. She was considering expanding to other states. Investment firms were approaching her about franchising opportunities. "You could build a national empire," Bethany said during a strategy meeting. "Maybe," Naomi said. "But I want to make sure we grow thoughtfully. I never want to sacrifice quality for quantity. Every client deserves personalized attention." They decided to pilot programs in 3 new cities, training local consultants who understood their communities. If those succeeded, they would continue expanding. In May, Naomi celebrated her 2nd wedding anniversary with Troy. They took a long weekend in the mountains, hiking and disconnecting from phones and work. "Are you happy?" Troy asked as they watched the sunset from their cabin's deck. "Incredibly," Naomi said. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is my life." "You built this life," Troy reminded her. "Every bit of it. You earned this happiness." Naomi leaned against his shoulder. "We built it together." Back home, she received a letter that surprised her. It was from Simone. "Dear Naomi," it read, "I hope this letter finds you well. I've been following your success from afar, and I wanted to tell you how inspired I am by what you've built. After everything that happened, I went to therapy and realized I had my own patterns to address. I've spent the last few years working on myself, building a career in social work, and trying to help people in my own way. I also wanted you to know that I ran into Pierce recently. He asked me for money, trying to restart his old manipulation tactics. I said no and walked away. It felt empowering to see him clearly for what he is, a manipulator who preys on people's kindness. Thank you for being strong enough to expose him. Thank you for showing women like me that we don't have to accept poor treatment. You changed more lives than you probably know. With respect and gratitude, Simone." Naomi folded the letter carefully. She was glad Simone had found her own path to healing. They would probably never be friends, but there was no animosity between them. They were both women who had been deceived by the same man and had both chosen to move forward. In June, Naomi was awarded the Community Leadership Award by the City Council for her work helping domestic abuse survivors. At the ceremony, the mayor praised her business, her advocacy, and her commitment to changing lives. "Naomi Hammond represents the best of our community," the mayor said. "She took personal tragedy and transformed it into purpose. She's helping hundreds of women rebuild their lives every year. That's true leadership." Naomi's acceptance speech was short but heartfelt. "This award isn't just for me. It's for every woman who survived abuse and chose to keep going. It's for every survivor who helped another survivor. It's for everyone who refuses to let trauma define them. We are stronger than what happened to us." The audience stood and applauded. Naomi looked out at the faces. Some she recognized, some she didn't, all of them showing support and respect. She had come so far. From that tiny apartment to this moment. From controlled and diminished to powerful and influential. From victim to advocate. That evening, celebrating with Troy, Jordan, Tasha, and her mother, Naomi felt complete contentment. She had everything she needed: meaningful work, genuine relationships, personal fulfillment, and the knowledge that she was making a difference. To Naomi, Jordan raised her glass. Who showed us all what real strength looks like. Everyone raised their glasses. To the future, Naomi added, which is so much brighter than the past. They clinked glasses and drank to that, to futures built on truth, healing, and purpose. To lives reclaimed from abuse. To women supporting women. To transformation and hope. Naomi smiled, surrounded by people who truly loved her. This was success. Not measured in money or fame, though she had both, but measured in peace, joy, and purpose. She had won. Not by destroying Pierce, but by becoming the best version of herself. That was the ultimate victory, and it would last forever. 5.5 years after that fateful party, Naomi woke up on a Saturday morning to sunlight streaming through the bedroom windows. Troy was already awake, working on his laptop in bed beside her. "Morning," he said, kissing her forehead. "Coffee's ready downstairs." "You're perfect," Naomi said, stretching. "I know," he teased. "That's why you married me." They spent the morning in comfortable routine, breakfast together, reading the news, planning their day. These quiet moments had become Naomi's favorite. No drama. No stress. Just peace. Her phone buzzed with a message from Sharon. "Just closed my biggest client yet. Thank you for believing in me." Naomi smiled. Sharon had launched her own independent consulting practice 6 months ago, and she was thriving. Several of Naomi's former employees had done the same, taking what they learned and building their own businesses to help more women. "The ripple effect continues," Troy observed, reading over her shoulder. "That's the best part," Naomi said. "I'm not trying to build an empire. I'm trying to create more advocates, more voices, more women helping women." At noon, they drove to Tasha's loft for a family gathering. Naomi's mother was there, along with her younger brother and his fiancée. Jordan came with her new girlfriend. Troy's brother brought his wife and their baby daughter. The afternoon was full of laughter and stories. Jordan told them about a ridiculous case she was working on. Troy showed everyone photos from his recent assignment photographing a celebrity wedding. At one point, Naomi's mother pulled her aside. "Look at this," she said, gesturing at the room full of happy people. "Look at the family you've built. The life you've created. I'm so proud of you, baby." Naomi hugged her tightly. "Thank you for never giving up on me. Even when I was with Pierce and pulled away from everyone. You're my daughter," her mother said. "I never stopped loving you or believing in you." That evening, back home with Troy, Naomi sat at her desk to work on her third book. This one was different, not a self-help guide, but a memoir. Her complete story from meeting Pierce through the divorce and beyond. "Are you sure you want to write this?" Troy had asked when she started the project. "It means revisiting a lot of painful memories." "I'm sure," Naomi said. "The story has a happy ending. Women need to see the complete arc, the pain, the struggle, the recovery, and the joy. They need to know that healing is possible and happiness is achievable." She had been writing for 3 months now, and the book was taking shape. It was honest about the pain Pierce had caused, but it didn't dwell there. It focused more on her recovery, her growth, her transformation. "You're doing the work Pierce tried to prevent," her therapist had said during their last session. "Telling your truth, taking up space, being visible and successful. That's the ultimate defiance of his control." In July, Naomi spoke at a national conference on domestic violence. She stood before 3,000 people and told her story from beginning to end: the manipulation, the discovery, the party, the divorce, the rebuilding, and the success. "I'm not special," she concluded. "I'm just a woman who refused to stay broken. Every one of you has that same strength inside you. Every survivor in this room has already done the hardest part. You survived. Now comes the good part, thriving." The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Each conversation reminded Naomi why this work mattered. One young woman, probably in her early 20s, told Naomi, "My boyfriend controls all our money. He says it's because I'm irresponsible. But hearing your story, I realize he's doing what Pierce did to you. I'm leaving him tomorrow. Thank you for helping me see the truth." "You're brave," Naomi told her. "Leaving is the hardest part. But there's so much good waiting for you on the other side." In August, Naomi and Troy celebrated their 3rd anniversary with a trip to Hawaii. They spent a week swimming, hiking, eating amazing food, and simply enjoying being together. One evening, sitting on the beach watching the sunset, Troy asked, "Do you ever think about having kids?" Naomi had been thinking about it. For years, she had avoided the thought, too damaged, too busy rebuilding. But lately she had started imagining what it would be like to be a mother, to raise children in a healthy, loving home, to show them what real partnership looked like. I think I want to, she said carefully. Not right away. Maybe in a year or two. But yes, I think I want to build a family with you. Troy smiled and squeezed her hand. Whenever you're ready. No pressure. Just know I'd love to have kids with you. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun sink into the ocean. Naomi felt complete peace. She had rebuilt her life so thoroughly that she could now think about the future with excitement instead of fear. In September, her memoir was published. The Party That Changed Everything, a story of betrayal, recovery, and triumph, debuted at #1 on the bestseller list. The response was overwhelming. Women #MyPartyMoment, describing the moments they realized they needed to leave, fight back, or reclaim their lives. You've started a movement, Bethany said, showing Naomi the thousands of posts. I've just continued a conversation that was already happening, Naomi corrected. Women have been fighting back forever. I'm just one voice among many. But the book's impact was undeniable. Sales of her first 2 books surged. Her consulting business got more clients than they could handle. Her speaking requests tripled. In October, a film producer contacted her about adapting her memoir into a movie. Naomi was hesitant. Did the world need another drama about her life? But the producer was a woman who specialized in stories about female empowerment. This isn't about Pierce, she explained. It's about you. About transformation. About showing women that they can rebuild after trauma. That Naomi agreed to option the rights, with the condition that she had input on the screenplay and that the focus remained on recovery rather than revenge. In November, she received an unexpected phone call. It was from a television network executive. We're launching a new show about financial empowerment and independence, the executive explained. It's essentially helping people take control of their finances and rebuild after crisis. We think you'd be the perfect host. Naomi was intrigued but cautious. I'm not interested in exploiting people's problems for entertainment. That's exactly why we want you, the executive said. We want someone who approaches this work with integrity and genuine compassion. Someone who understands trauma and recovery. That's you. She agreed to pilot 1 episode. If it felt exploitative or disrespectful to the people they helped, she would walk away. But if it genuinely helped people, she would consider continuing. The pilot filmed in January, 6 years after the party. They worked with a single mother named Keisha. Wait, no, Naomi had been told not to use that name. They worked with a single mother named Diana who was struggling to rebuild her finances after leaving an abusive relationship. Over the course of the episode, Naomi helped Diana create a budget, open her own bank account, build credit, and develop a 5-year financial plan. By the end, Diana was crying happy tears. You showed me I can do this, Diana said. I thought I was too stupid to handle money, but I'm not. I just never had anyone teach me. You were never stupid, Naomi said firmly. You were deliberately kept in the dark. That's not the same thing. The network loved the pilot. They ordered a full season, 10 episodes of helping people take control of their financial lives. Each episode focused on one person or family, providing them with comprehensive financial education and support. The show premiered in March and became an unexpected hit. People loved the combination of practical advice and emotional support. They loved seeing real people transform their lives. And they loved Naomi's direct, compassionate approach. You're famous now, Tasha said. Like actually famous. I saw someone watching your show at the gym. That's surreal, Naomi admitted. I never wanted to be famous. I just wanted to help people. You're doing both, Tasha said. And you're using fame responsibly. That's rare. In April, Naomi turned 35. Troy threw her a surprise birthday party at their house. All the important people in her life were there. Family, friends, colleagues, clients she had helped over the years. During the party, Sharon stood up to make a toast. 6 years ago, Naomi was rebuilding her own life. Today, she's helping thousands of women rebuild theirs. She turned personal pain into global purpose. She's proof that trauma doesn't have to define us. So here's to Naomi, the strongest, kindest, most inspiring person I know. Everyone raised their glasses. Naomi felt overwhelmed with gratitude and joy. Later, when the party had wound down and only close family remained, Troy pulled out a small gift box. One more present, he said. Inside was a silver bracelet engraved with words, "She believed she could, so she did." Perfect, Naomi said, tears in her eyes. Thank you. You did do it, Troy said. You believed you could rebuild your life and you did. You believed you could help others, and you did. You believed you deserved happiness, and look at everything you have now. Naomi kissed him. We did it. Together. In May, she spoke at her old university's graduation ceremony. Standing at the podium looking at thousands of graduates and their families, she felt nervous but prepared. When I was your age, she began, I thought I had everything figured out. Then life happened. Betrayal happened. Loss happened. For a while I thought my life was over. But it wasn't over. It was just beginning in a different way than I had planned. She told the graduates about resilience, about adaptation, about turning setbacks into opportunities. She told them that success wasn't a straight line, that failure and struggle were part of every meaningful journey. The measure of your life isn't what happens to you, she concluded. It's what you do with what happens. You get to choose your response. You get to choose your path forward. Choose courage. Choose kindness. Choose to keep going. I promise you it's worth it. The applause was thunderous. Several graduates cried. Parents thanked her afterward for her honesty and inspiration. That evening, relaxing at home with Troy, Naomi reflected on her journey. 6 years ago, she had been invited to a party as a cruel joke. The invitation was supposed to humiliate her, to make her feel small and pathetic. Instead, it had been the catalyst for complete transformation. It had forced her to see the truth about her marriage. It had pushed her to take action. It had ultimately set her free. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't found Pierce's phone? Troy asked. Sometimes, Naomi admitted. I might still be in that tiny apartment, believing we were broke, living a small, controlled life. The thought is terrifying. But you did find it, Troy said. And you made the brave choice to act on what you discovered. That took incredible courage. Or incredible anger, Naomi laughed. Both, Troy said. Anger at injustice is healthy. It motivates change. You used that anger productively instead of destructively. Naomi thought about Pierce sometimes, though less and less as time passed. She had heard through the grapevine that he was working a basic job and living in a small apartment. Ironically, a life similar to the one he had forced her to live. She felt no satisfaction in his reduced circumstances. She just felt neutral. He was a person who had made terrible choices and faced consequences. His life was his responsibility now, not her concern. Her own life was full and meaningful. She had everything she had once dreamed of: fulfilling work, genuine love, financial security, strong friendships, and the deep satisfaction of knowing she made a difference. In June, the television network renewed her show for 2 more seasons. The movie adaptation of her memoir was greenlit for production. Her consulting business opened its 10th location. You're building a legacy, Jordan said over dinner one evening. I'm just living my life, Naomi said. A good life. The life I always deserved but didn't know how to claim. You know what I think? Her mother said. I think Pierce did you a favor. Not intentionally, obviously. But by being so terrible, he forced you to become strong. By trying to make you small, he pushed you to become huge. By attempting to destroy you, he accidentally helped you become unstoppable. Naomi considered that. I'd rather have learned these lessons a different way. But I can't change the past. I can only build the future. And what a future you're building, her mother said proudly. In July, Naomi and Troy started trying to have a baby. They approached it thoughtfully, discussing expectations and fears. Naomi worried about being a mother after coming from an abusive relationship, but her therapist reassured her. You know what abuse looks like, the therapist said. Which means you'll be vigilant about creating a healthy environment. You'll raise children who understand consent, boundaries, and respect. That awareness makes you a better parent, not a worse one. By October, Naomi was pregnant. She and Troy were thrilled and slightly terrified. They spent months preparing, taking parenting classes, reading books, talking to other parents. We're going to be great at this, Troy said, his hand on her growing belly. We're going to make mistakes, Naomi corrected. But we'll figure it out together. That's what matters. In February, 7 years after that party, Naomi gave birth to a healthy baby girl. They named her Hope, because hope was what had carried Naomi through the darkest times. Holding her daughter in the hospital, Naomi felt overwhelming love and determination. She would raise this child to be strong, independent, confident. She would teach her daughter about healthy relationships, financial literacy, and self-worth. She would show her by example what it meant to be a woman who refused to be controlled or diminished. Hello, Hope, Naomi whispered. You're going to have such an amazing life. I promise you that. Troy stood beside them, taking photos, crying happy tears. She's perfect. You're perfect. This is perfect. Over the next months, Naomi adjusted to motherhood while continuing her work. She took maternity leave from the television show but continued consulting part-time and writing her next book during nap times. It was exhausting but fulfilling. She had worried about losing herself in motherhood the way she had lost herself in her marriage to Pierce. But this was completely different. She was choosing motherhood. She had support. She maintained her own identity while embracing this new role. By Hope's first birthday, Naomi had found a balance between motherhood, marriage, and career. She had hired a nanny for work hours, involved family and childcare, and set clear boundaries about her time. "You're doing amazing," Sharon said, visiting with her own kids. "You're showing all of us it's possible to have everything: career, family, personal fulfillment. You're proving women don't have to sacrifice one part of themselves to have another." Naomi looked at Hope playing on the floor with the other children and felt deep contentment. She had built this life, this beautiful, healthy, fulfilling life, from the ashes of betrayal and pain. She thought about that party 7 years ago. Walking into that penthouse in her borrowed dress, facing Pierce and his mistress, announcing her divorce in front of strangers. That moment had felt terrifying, but it had been the beginning of everything good. The moment she took back her power. The moment she chose herself. The moment she decided she deserved better. Everything since then, the business, the books, the show, the advocacy, the genuine love, the family, all of it flowed from that single brave decision to walk into that party and refuse to be humiliated. Pierce had invited her to a party as a joke. He had expected her to be the entertainment, the pathetic broke wife who everyone could laugh at. Instead, she had walked in stunning and confident. She had exposed his lies. She had destroyed his perfect double life. She had walked out with her dignity intact and her future secured. But more than that, she had walked out free. Free to become whoever she wanted to be. Free to build whatever life she chose. Free to help others find their own freedom. That was the real victory. Not revenge. Not money. Not fame. But freedom. As Naomi sat on the floor playing with her daughter, surrounded by friends and family, the party invitation that was meant to destroy her had instead set her free. The cruelty that was supposed to break her had instead forged her into something stronger. She had won. Completely. Permanently.